Welcome to episode 446 of the Geeks for the Win podcast. I'm your host, William, and I'm joined with my co-host, Stuart.
Known across the internet as Casual Terror.
This week, we're doing what we've been watching. I guess we can jump into it. Stuart, you said you got some stuff.
I got some things, yes. I have been watching. Well, okay. First off, let's start with a movie that I watched. It's a movie you have seen. I saw it partially on an airplane, but my flight was so darn short that I didn't get a chance to finish it. That's Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Oh yeah.
It's on HBO Max, I believe.
I have no idea.
I honestly, I don't remember where I watched it now. But it was thoroughly enjoyable. Oh, maybe I rented it. That was it. I rented it.
It's not streaming anywhere. Yeah, it's just rent.
I rented it. Okay. Yeah, it was definitely better than the 2016 one, for sure.
No clue. Never saw it. So I'll take your word for it.
The problem with the 2016 one was not because they were female, but because when the writers were writing that movie, they put females in that part instead of just writing a good character and then putting, if that makes sense, like they wrote it like, we're females, yeah, instead of I'm a good character.
That, and they put too many obnoxious actors in those roles next to each other.
No, I think it could have worked with that cast. It could have absolutely worked. The writing was absolute shit. Because also, comedies written today are absolute shit. Especially slapstick comedies, which that's what that was. That was a slapstick comedy movie. And those are awful. There has not been a good one since, I can't even think of the last good one. Like, back when, Mel Brooks was still making movies. That was movies, slapstick comedies written today are absolute garbage because they're not written well. They're terrible. They're terrible movies. And that's what that was. Because Ghostbusters, it's a comedy. Kind of. Yeah, there are funny parts in it, but it's not a comedy movie. It's an action movie with comedic parts. And I think that's kind of what they did right with this movie, though. Is it was an action movie with comedic parts. Also, spoilers for the end of the movie, they got the original cast back. I mean, and because I rented this, now I remember this, I rented this on Amazon, the X-ray that was, the trivia and stuff was like the only people from the first two movies that are not in this movie were Harold Ramis, getting the actor's name, something David or David something, the guy who played the mayor in the first two movies, because they're both dead, so they're not in this movie. And Rick Moranis, because he's retired.
Yeah,
But
which
they got everybody
unfortunate.
else back. Which I read that, I'm like, I wonder if Oscar's in this movie. No, Oscar's not. I was disappointed. Like, maybe we might find out who Oscar's father is. Maybe it is, Venkman. No, it wasn't.
Oh yeah, Rick Moranis is coming back though to do another Honey I Shrunk the Kids. I was like, he's
I thought
out
he
of
was
retirement,
he's
isn't
coming
he?
back
And
for something. I didn't remember what it
yeah,
was. But yeah,
it's a new sequel. Yeah.
he's been retired and has done nothing for a long time.
Well, it's because his wife died, right? And then he just decided not to do anything anymore. And then he got attacked in New York, didn't he? Like
I don't know.
a couple years ago.
I don't know, but
I think
that sounds like Brendan Fraser, but could have been a similar thing.
I feel like that was him. Yeah, he got assaulted in 2020 in New York. Rick Moranis.
Oh well, he's not been acting a long time before then.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I feel like I think it is because like his wife died, so he just didn't feel like, which is like, okay, sure,
Fair
that's
enough.
a legit reason. I mean,
Fair enough. Not gonna pressure
you don't owe us anything.
No.
Like
no.
you've already given us good stuff. So
But about this movie though, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was good, and and Paul Rudd, of course, stole the movie.
I feel like he wasn't in it enough though. Like
No, but like the scenes he was in though, he ate that movie up.
Because like he gets turned and then it's kind of just like, oh well, he's gone now, he's out of the movie until the very end.
Yeah. Which like apparently like a lot of people were kind of upset, like, well, like supposedly like because like when did he have a daughter? It's like, well, we didn't, nothing was ever shown. Like, well, is Janine the mother? No, obviously she's not. So like, but I heard a theory. It was more of the daughter already existed before the first movie, based off her age. She was already alive, and he was already not paying attention to her. So
Yeah.
But
do you know who played Gozer?
I was watching them like, that looks like Olivia Wilde.
It is Olivia Wilde, yeah. I remember
actually,
during that time I saw like a TikTok of like her like getting makeup put on or something for it. Like,
actually, at first I'm like, man, they got somebody who looked just like the original actor.
Just exactly, yeah.
And then
it was crazy.
Look, I'm like, oh wait, no, that is somebody different. That looks like Olivia Wilde.
At first I'm like, wait, is this CGI? Like, is Gozer CGI? That's what I thought at first.
Right, because
just
that
like,
first scene, I'm like, that's original Gozer. What the hell?
Yeah. But no, yeah, they got Olivia Wilde, and like, she is like, on IMDb, she's like way at the bottom, listed as uncredited. Like,
Which That sucks.
Yeah,
Like,
it's weird, right? Like, I mean, they've got Josh Gad as voice of Muncher over her. Like, and I'm like, what? Like, okay, that's odd. Like,
I mean, now while Garrett, that wasn't her voice, she did have at
oh
least
no.
speaking roles. While Muncher just went nom nom yum 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 yum.
Yeah, right. Like,
So he is credited, but okay, that's just.
yeah, yeah, I don't know.
And this movie does kind of end with a like, you know what? If they make a sequel to this, I'd be okay with it. But they probably won't do it right. But I'll probably watch
No,
it.
I saw this in theaters. J.K. Simmons was in this.
Um, was he? It was a small part then.
What? It's saying Ivo Shandor. Was that one of the like the old guy
Oh
who
right,
built the temple or
it was
something?
the dude
Maybe.
who built the temple. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's the only thing I could think of. Yeah. So
yeah,
okay.
it was the dude
Huh.
who built the temple that wasn't quite dead for some somehow. I don't know how that worked. How he was still alive but then not at the same time.
It was kind of weird. Yeah. Like. But yeah, I thought it was a good movie. It was a good like it was a good family movie. I feel like, good for the kids and for, adults.
Yeah,
Yeah, I did not realize that was him at the time. Yeah.
I mean I did, but I mean because that's very obviously J.K. Simmons with a Colonel Sanders beard mustache, but I it was a
I
forgettable
mean,
part.
I
It was a
I
forgettable part.
just there's been so many Colonel Sanders like out there that like I see that it could be anybody, like but yeah. And it was a quick thing. It didn't like yeah,
No, yeah,
but
it yeah, he was not on screen for maybe a minute.
yeah, I like the kids though. Like the little like I guess his name podcast. That's the character like
I was like,
name on
I
IMDb.
feel attacked by that guy. I feel attacked by that character. Especially when he
Like
said, "You're my one subscriber." I'm like, "Oh,
right, yeah.
uh,
I mean, everybody has a podcast now, so yeah, like it's not, yeah, it's overset.
I
It's like,
mean, we have a podcast."
yeah, but like it's so easy to make a podcast now. That's just, yeah, but I thought, yeah, I feel like the two main kids though, they were really good. Like those are some good actors.
Yeah, Finn.
I was also thinking about this, Stuart. Like, why is there no awards for child actors? Like,
I mean, they're the Kids' Choice Awards.
well, yeah, but you know, like like Oscars or whatever. Because like there are some kids that do some really good performances, and I'll talk about one later that made me think about this. But yeah, like I don't know. I just feel like that. I feel like that. Why is that not a like like you say Kids Choice Awards, but like that's really not like anything close to like an Oscar or
Well, there's the Academy Juvenile Award. So
did not know that was a thing.
mm-mm.
So I think that's shows how serious they consider that, or you
Uh,
know.
also known as the juvenile Oscar. Oh, but it was last awarded on April 17th, 1961.
Oh, okay, then yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I'll mention it in a little bit, but I was thinking about that like yesterday. I was just like, there are some really good kid actors like that are really impressive, and it's like it's a shame that they don't have like a real way to get good recognition. You know.
Yeah, with winners like Shirley Temple, Mickey Rooney, Judy Garland, and those are the only names I recognize.
Back when movies weren't in color.
True. Mickey Rooney was 18 years old. Come on, that nope, sorry.
18 when he won it,
Yeah,
or 18 when
18 when he won it.
maybe. Well, maybe the performance was before he was 18. You know.
He was 18 years old and 153 days. Why does it break out in days? I don't know. It's very, very odd.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought I like I said, I saw this in theaters, and I wasn't disappointed. Like I thought it was an enjoyable movie, and yeah.
Yes, it was a very enjoyable movie. I recommend it wholeheartedly. Don't watch it on a plane that is so short that as soon as you take off and you reach altitude, you're landing. Because that is not enough time to watch a movie.
No, not at all. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, like to get from here to Dallas, that's like the only flight that leaves the airport here. Is to Dallas, and it's like 30 minutes. Like it's like 30 minutes.
Yeah, it was a 40-minute flight. So, but it got me to actually rent the movie because I watched part of it without sound
That's
because I
good.
was not going to pay extra for those earbuds.
Oh, you didn't bring your own, or
I Bluetooth and
oh, did you watch it on on like
yeah,
their screens,
yeah,
or oh, okay. Okay, gotcha. Yeah,
yes.
I didn't know they still
it
had
was
those.
one of
Like,
those in-flight it was one of the in-flight movies
gotcha. Okay, yeah.
along with Dune. But yeah, what have you been watching?
Well, I'll just jump into it. The Atom Project.
I will watch that eventually.
The kid in this movie is so good.
Oh, I'm dumb. I
It's
spelled the wrong Adam.
it's frightening how like spot on Ryan Reynolds he does.
I have heard this. I've heard that they did a very good job of finding a person who could portray a young Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, I mean, and this movie is I absolutely love this movie. It's so good. It's Ryan Reynolds is basically Ryan Reynolds himself,
Yeah,
but like I don't think that's like an insult because I like Ryan Reynolds. But like this kid, like there are parts where like Ryan Reynolds will say something and then the kid will like snarkily like repeat the line later on in the movie, and it's just like brilliant. Like it it's so good.
I
I
I will probably watch it this weekend because I've meaning to watch it. I just haven't.
Yeah. Yeah, this is Ryan Reynolds and director Sean Levy, who they worked their first movie was Free Guy, which I also liked. This is
And
the
there will be a
second, and then
third.
their third, yeah, Deadpool 3. So that's pretty good. I gotta say, I didn't hate Jennifer Garner in this. I'm not a fan of her normally. I'm not quite sure. There's just something about her that I just typically don't like, but she was pretty good in this. Um this is like short
It's
premise.
it's because she wasn't wearing red leather with with size. That was probably it.
Like yeah, I don't know. It's just there's something about her, but
Slicing up sandbags
yeah,
in a
it's like a
dark mansion.
ti time travel movie where, you know, Ryan Reynolds' character goes back. His name's Adam Reed. He goes back in time to 2022, and and ends up, you know, contacting his like 12-year-old self, and like he kind of has to because he crash landed in 2022 and he's injured, and like his like ship, his like it's like a fighter jet but that can travel in time. It's like genetically coded in some reason because he's injured. He can't like activate it. So that's why he needs his younger self to like, you know, use the genetic key fob. It's pretty much like a key fob that like reads your DNA or whatever. And that's like how it initially starts, and then it, you know, there's plot that happen. I don't want to give away really anything, but it's really good. And like I said, this is where I was like thinking about like, man, this kid is really nailing this role. Like he is great. Like, and I've seen some TikToks where like where it's like promotion, you know, TikToks for this movie leading up, where it's like the kid and him and Ryan Reynolds, the kid actor, and like the kid was great in that too. Like I don't know, I'm kind of shocked. It only has, or it has it's barely fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, 67.
Really?
Audience score of 78 though. But I love this movie. Like I'm really enjoyed this quite a bit. Like it wasn't a super long movie either. It was an hour 46. So, which I appreciate those, you know, because not every movie has to be 2.5 hours long, you know,
Or 3 hours? Look at you,
or three
Batman.
hours. Yeah, like I appreciate, you know, movies that can, you know, have a shorter time but still, you know, like, you know, because a lot of the times those movies are better because they don't have a lot of extra fluff, you know. But yeah, I thought this was pretty great. The I, this I while watching this, I was thinking, yeah, this is a movie I could totally see myself watching in a theater. Like, I mean, that's what I feel like Netflix movies are now like that quality, you know. To some extent, there are some
Yeah,
Netflix movies that come out that are like, yeah, no, this is definitely this is definitely not a theater quality movie, but
right.
like
Yes.
this is an example that Netflix can make those type of movies, that it is possible. So yeah, I think this was just a fantastic movie. Special effects were great. That's the reason where I was like thinking like, yeah, this is a full-fledged like true movie. Like the special effects are great in this, and it is sci-fi because like the he comes from the year 2050, so um time travel, fighter jets, and like crazy weapons, and the bad guys are wearing these crazy like mix between stormtrooper and like I don't know, like some type of Iron Man like kind of suits. So there are a lot of like sci-fi special effects. Um, what is it? Mark Ruffalo's great in this. He plays the dad.
Okay, cool.
Zoe Saldana is the love interest. So there's a lot of Marvel connections. Um, who did they get to play? The like overarching bat like villain is, I don't know who she is actually. Catherine Keener. I don't recognize that
Oh,
at all.
yeah, I definitely know her. Um, she was the love interest in 40-Year-Old Virgin. Um, she was
Oh
in the movie Get
wow.
Out.
Okay.
She was the girlfriend's mother, the one who hypnotizes the main actor.
I
Um,
never saw Get Out, but 40-year-old version is like 17 years old. So
oh shit, what else is she in?
I'm looking and I don't like recognize a whole lot. Like, yeah, I guess 40-year-old virgin's the only thing I kind of.
I
I
feel
don't
like I've
remember
definitely
Death.
seen.
She was in Death to Smoochie apparently, but I don't remember that movie that well. So
I've definitely seen her in things, but I am not recognizing any of the other things she's in.
yeah, she was kind of a good villain. Like a good villain you hated. So yeah, I like I said, this is I really enjoyed this movie quite a bit. Like didn't expect to. I expected to like it because it's like, okay, it's Ryan Reynolds, so that means it's gonna at least be like an average. Like it's gonna be an okay movie at the worst. I feel like I feel that way about like Ryan Reynolds. Like, I don't. He doesn't really put himself in horrible movies. You know, at the worst, they're like all right movies.
Right. It's
But
usually
this
it's
one,
usually not his fault if the movie is awful.
yeah. But yeah, I enjoyed this quite a bit. Like, what was the one he did with The Rock and Gal Gadot? Red Notice.
Red Notice, yeah.
Yeah, I like this a lot better than that. As far as like like Netflix Ryan Reynolds movies, I guess. Like I prefer this one over that. But so yeah, I definitely highly recommend people check this out. This one just came out this past week, right? It was
Yes.
Wednesday,
It was let's see, what day was it?
or was it the previous Wednesday? I think it was last week's Wednesday, or
This doesn't tell
I think we
me.
had it. What's the
Just says March 11th. So last Friday.
Oh, Friday. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty good movie. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Um, like I said, that kid just nailed it. Nailed playing a younger Ryan Reynolds. Like all the mannerisms and the like the wise cracking nature. Like it's just spot on. Like it was great. Um, and I just can't wait to see Deadpool 3 now, because I've enjoyed the Ryan Reynolds and Sean Levy like do their other two movies. I just can't wait to see how they do Deadpool 3.
Yeah.
So, what's another thing you got?
See, another thing I got, this one is on HBO. It's a documentary, one that you might enjoy, maybe, called Beanie Mania.
I've seen I haven't watched it, but I saw that this is a thing. Yeah.
It's all about the rise and fall of the Beanie Baby and kind of how the trend started. Like not just Beanie Babies itself, but like the actual trend of just people wanting them. And it really starts with, well, according to this documentary, it kind of starts out with these house moms in Chicago. Because that's where Beanie Babies kind of first came out, was in Chicago. And and they weren't released in, big box stores. They were only in like small mom and pop shops. And if I remember right, also in Hallmark stores.
Yep, Hallmark was a big thing. Yeah, I remember that.
Um, and it was just kind of like these women just kind of noticed that, like, oh, there's one here that's not available over here, and oh, this one's new, and just kind of like, okay, we'll start this collection. And it got to a point where they started calling other stores and other places, and that kind of like, oh, people are calling about this, and just kind of like that whole thing just kind of took off from there. And then word of mouth, just all of a sudden it became a sensation. And
And it was perfect timing too, because like I think we've talked about this before. The '90s was all about collecting things.
yes,
I feel like.
yeah, it was right at that time when collecting things was
I
the
mean,
thing to do.
we collected circular pieces of cardboard in the '90s.
I
Like
I saw a TikTok last night about Pogs.
yeah. So like that's why a lot of like comics and baseball cards and stuff from like around the '90s aren't really worth anything, because like they mass produced them because people just were collecting.
Yeah, and that's yeah, and this goes through like the rise of Beanie Babies, the the counterfeits.
The divorces where
It
people
did
would.
not go through. It did not mention that
It
divorce.
did not.
It did not mention
Wow.
that divorce. I was expecting it to, but it didn't.
Yeah.
Uh, Thefts. It goes through, and then eventually it goes to the fall of Beanie Babies, and it they attribute it to really kind of one thing, and that was it, at just before the year 2000 on the Beanie Baby website, which, you know, this is 1999 website. The internet was nowhere close to what it is now. And in fact, they interviewed the person who created the website at TY or Ty, and like she got no credit for it at all. Like she didn't get a raise, she didn't get anything for it. But like that was kind of, you know, a big thing was that website and how many people were going to that website. And kind of just before January 1st to 2000, they put up a notice: Beanie Babies are ending. No more Beanie Babies. And then a little closer, they put up a poll: should Beanie Babies continue? And like, because like around that time, like there was already starting to be kind of a lull in Beanie Babies. And then like, oh, it might be ending. And so they just all became, you know, a bunch of like, oh, we gotta buy up the last Beanie Babies, and then we gotta hold on to them so we can sell them, or sell them off now because the prices are really high now. And then the year 2000 came. The poll won. Yes is the winner. We will continue Beanie Babies. Oh, okay. And that's what this documentary attributes the okay, we're done.
Yeah.
You put you put up a fake poll to raise kind of as a PR stunt, and people saw it for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it was just a matter of time before anyways.
Yeah.
Like, you know, because then I remember like my mom was huge into collecting. She would go from one thing to the next, and Beanie Babies she was part of. Like, there'd be like local gatherings where people would go and swap, you know, and trade Beanie. I have an extra one of this, oh, I want that, you know, and stuff like. I remember her going to those, and you know, like I don't know. I remember being a kid and thinking like, okay, I like some of these. Like I had a couple ones that I really liked, you know, just because I remember, was it Red Rover? Was like the red dog. I mean, that was like my favorite one. I really liked that, and because I love dogs, and but like I didn't really care about like having them all, or having this one because it was super rare, or this one, or did they go into the McDonald's ones?
That was yes, that they did.
Yeah.
The mini beanies, or I forget what they're called now, teeny beanies. That was it.
Yeah.
Yes. And they did also go into the Princess Di bear.
I've got at least one of those in my garage somewhere.
But yeah, it was definitely an interesting and kind of a fun documentary to watch.
It's also crazy because like they were such a hit that they made like that they made a product that was customized, like custom sleeves for the tags.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the only thing those things were good for, were to put on the Beanie Baby tags.
Yes.
And like they were, you know, they were mass produced for people to.
And those are,
yeah.
I don't those aren't actually brought up as a thing, but like they're definitely, you definitely see them in the documentary.
Oh yeah, like there's ones on the ones that we have in the garage somewhere, and is in the I guess the quote rare ones, you know, are in the hard plastic boxes. Yeah.
Yep.
God.
I remember
My mom spent so much money. Oh my god.
The first Beanie Baby I got, I didn't understand the craze. It was just something I saw at the Hallmark store while my mom was buying stamps. It was just something that I saw like, oh, the little stuffed cat. All right, yeah, I'll get this. Took it home, tag, cut off the tag,
Yeah.
because that's what you did with toys back then. You cut off the tags.
Yeah. And just, I mean, yeah. I mean, that was it for me. I was just like, okay, I like this one because it's a cute, it's a cute dog. And then the tags, I don't know if you remember the actual tags. They had like little like descriptions or like poems
Yeah,
or
and
like of the
and
animal
the
of
the,
the
the person who came up with that was actually the same person who built the website. And yeah, and she's interviewed.
yeah. Yeah, I didn't like the I didn't I thought I remember as a kid thinking like the Princess Diana ones and the other ones similar ones that were just like the bear but
The
different
Bears.
colors and you know I remember thinking that's kind of lazy, like
Yeah,
just make different animals. Like
there was the Peace Bear. There was the Country Bears. Every country had its own bear. Yeah,
yeah, but like I said, like I like the dog ones cuz I love dogs and stuff like that. So yeah, it was just I
and
don't I can't
there was a Beanie Baby magazine. Which how can you have a reoccurring magazine that became bi-monthly?
Oh, because the prices would change, and that's how, because back then, yeah, they had magazines for like baseball
No, no,
cards,
no.
magazines
Like
for
this wasn't.
basketball cards,
From
Beanie
what I
Baby cards
understand,
that showed the
it
prices.
was not a price book. It was a regular ass magazine with articles.
Oh, well, I think I think they had ones that had prices too, but like,
Yes, that they did, but like
yeah,
this was like a magazine with articles and shit. Like what the fuck? And that was actually
yeah,
started by one of the quote women that started the craze.
yeah.
And of course
It's interesting.
you she was being interviewed in her like $4 million mansion. It's like, okay.
Okay, well, good to see she didn't like blow all her money or
Well, from what she was rich before the Beanie Babies.
Ah, gotcha. Okay, yeah, it's just I don't yeah, that's the thing, like, I look back at, like, the '90s and that's the thing that pops up is collecting, like, it just feels like it just feels like the '90s was just, like, one collecting craze to the next, you know? And I don't really feel that way about, like, the 2000s or the 2010s, you know? Like, there are some
Well, I
stuff, like,
mean,
Funko Pops, that's kind of but like I don't feel like there's as many as there were like back in the '90s, you know?
I don't know. Let's see how many Pokemon card opening streams are going on right now.
Well, I mean that's one thing though. I'm talking about like going, like Pogs to baseball cards to Pokemon cards back then to Beanie Babies to like I said, my mom was maybe I'm just more like I was just more in the know back then because like there was a craze to collect like Wheaties boxes because they had different like
That one I didn't
celebrities
know.
on them. Yeah, like
I didn't know about that.
people would buy Wheaties boxes that had like Michael Jordan or whatever random, sports figure, and they would just keep them and not open them because they made hey, it's gonna be worth something someday because hey, it's this famous celebrity or this famous sports, it's Shaq. It's Michael Jordan. It's name insert, famous, I don't know, other sports person, you know. But yeah.
But yeah, it was an interesting documentary. But else have you been watching?
I'll jump it. Oh, well, yeah. Do I want to go and touch on that right now? I'll get it out of the way, sure. Um, Another movie I mentioned, I Love Dogs. Um, this movie is about a dog. It's called Rescued by Ruby. This is another Netflix movie. Just came out yesterday, St. Patrick's Day. Um, this stars Grant Gustin, the Flash
The
himself.
Flash.
Yeah. He plays a state trooper who I I guess he loves dogs, and he has a huge like respect for the canine unit, and it seems like he's been like trying to get in it for the longest time, and I guess there's a cutoff, like you can only try out or join until you're 30, they say. I guess, I don't know, that seemed kind of weird, but and he's like 29, so this is his last chance, and he finds this dog from a shelter who has gone through a lot of different families, and they all bring this dog back because she's wild and full of energy and free spirited, and it's a real heartwarming movie where like Grant Gustin's character has this bond with this dog, and they work real hard together, and you know to to basically become part of a canine unit. And there's it's based on a true story, so
Yeah, I'm looking at an article now about it.
it was a really good movie. I really enjoyed it. I was watching it with my dogs all around me. um
Did they watch two?
uh I don't know, maybe.
Have you have have
uh
you have you seen those TikToks though? Of like
yeah, I
the
have.
dogs watching movies, and like they actually have favorite movies.
I have seen those. Yeah, they're great. This is another one that was only an hour and a half. Um, Not a huge long movie. It didn't feel super short either, but um, yeah, the lot of. And it's also while I'm watching it, I was like, okay, so when does this take place? And I know at the end they're gonna be like, oh, they're gonna show like where the people are, and like what happened and all this and that. And I was kind of dreading the end because like, what if this happened like 20 years ago, So it's like, oh, the dog's probably not alive, and it's like, it was like at the end, it's like, oh, they've been on the canine unit for 10 years and they're still going at, and I'm like, okay, good, you know, like that's always the like the thing with with movies with dogs in it.
Right.
I saw a TikTok. I think it was an interview with Channing Tatum where like uh that he was saying like because he has a movie about like a dog or something uh, um out. I think it's Channing Tatum.
That's the dog as of 4 years ago.
Okay.
That's Ruby.
Um,
And she looks like a good girl.
yeah. Channing Tatum has a movie came out uh this year called Dog. I think it's out. But yeah, I saw an interview where he was like saying that people were asking him like, the dog lives, right? Because I'm not gonna watch this movie. You gotta tell me. I'm not gonna watch this if I don't know about the dog, you know. And that's that's kind of
Oh,
how I feel.
right.
Like,
Yes, I do know. I do know what movie that is. Yeah.
yeah, like that's how I feel about movies with dogs. It's like I'm always kind of afraid to watch them because you
Hmm.
know. But this one was great. Like,
Hey,
you know,
old Yeller scarred so many kids. We don't
oh
want to
my
go through it
god,
again.
oh my god, you're not even kidding. Yeah. And for some reason, I still watch that movie multiple times as a kid. Like,
Actually, I take that back. I've never actually seen Old Yeller. For me, it was Fox and the Hound.
oh, that's another one. Yeah, that I love that movie as a kid. You know, but yeah, this was great, and like I don't know if it's spoilers, but you know, at the credits where it's like talking about the stuff. Apparently, the dog that actually played Ruby like was a shelter dog, so that's kind of cool.
Cool.
They got a shelter dog to play a shelter dog that was rescued. So that's like, yeah, that's another like good feeling moment. Um, yeah, it was just great. Like Grant Gustin did an outstanding job. Like I kind of can't wait for the Flash to be over with because I would love to see him do more. You know,
Oh
like
wow.
I've given up on the Flash.
The
So
the guy that the Flash plays um saw a potential in Ruby 2 hours before she was supposed to be euthanized.
yeah, yeah.
It's
They
like,
they
oh
touched
my
that in the
god.
movie. Yeah, and there's even crazier like I wouldn't read too much if you plan on watching this because there's even crazier stuff than that, like crazier connections. That's like what are the chances like that like type of things. It was a really good movie. Like very with some very like m- like just emotional like ups and high or ups and downs. Like there was definitely some moments where I'm like, like, oh, I'm grabbing my dog and petting them. Like this is so sad right now. Like it was really good. I really enjoyed this movie. I watched this earlier today and absolutely can't recommend it enough.
There was
Like,
a screening for the movie, and Ruby was at the screening.
oh, that's great. Yeah, this is the first thing Grant Gustin has done since 2018, which was a short he did. Tom and Grant. It's a short that wasn't Barry Allen the Flash. So yeah, like I really can't wait for him not to be the Flash full time. Because he's really good. Like he was great in this, and I'd love to see him in more stuff. And from what I can tell, the Flash is really kind of bad. Like
From the TikToks that I've seen of it, yes.
Like it was getting kind of bad when I stopped watching. so um so yeah, I can't wait to see him do more stuff because this was fantastic. This is one of my favorite movies of this year so far, and it's probably going to be on my list at the end because it was it was it was such a good like wholesome movie. Like I said, it's on Netflix. Rescued by Ruby. It's only an hour and a half, so it's not a super long movie, but it's good enough to where it doesn't feel like it's super short, you know? Like like I said, I didn't even realize it was only an hour and a half. If you would have told me this hour 40 something like, the Adam Project was, I would have been like, sure. Yeah, that sounds about right. But yeah, I don't really recognize anybody else as far as cast goes.
I recognize the other guy on the poster. Scott Wolf. I recognize him. Where do I recognize him from? Oh yeah, he was in Party of Five back in the
Oh,
90s.
oh God. Okay.
I mean, he looks
Uh,
the same.
I never watched that, so apparently he's in the Nancy Drew show.
I don't know.
I forgot that was even a thing.
Oh, he was also on a bunch of episodes of Saved by the Bell.
Okay, interesting. But yeah, great movie, especially if you're an animal or a dog lover like myself. Like, there's some sad moments, but it's not like, it's no dogs die or anything like that. So quite the opposite. Like you said, that Ruby gets saved from being, because she was, brought back so many times because, you know, so highly recommend. What's another one you got?
Let's see. Another one I got is, let's go with Book of Boba Fett.
Oh, okay.
I finally sat down and watched
Mandalorian 2.5.
all of Book of Boba Fett. And I enjoyed it more than I expected, because like people were like, "Oh, this show sucked. It was awful." I enjoyed it.
It was really I really disliked that only one episode. Like,
Which
it
episode
was
was that?
it was the first one with the like teenagers, whatever.
Oh, with the mod squad. That's all I can think of.
Yeah, it was just that first one that I thought was,
I did not
I didn't.
like their mopeds. They were
No,
awful.
and it just,
They just stuck out. They just stuck out.
especially when they're on a chase scene, like that felt very weird.
They were too damn
Like,
clean to be on fucking Tatooine. They were too damn
yeah, that's
clean.
true. Yeah.
That's why if they were faded and like the paint was chipped, a little dirty, then they'd be fine. You know,
What you think of the chick who had the human hand, then the robot wrist, and then the rest of the arm was like, it just seemed kind of silly to me. Like you're like I don't know, like too much pressure. Your hand would just go into the robot piece, like, right? Like,
not necessarily. I mean, it is Star Wars, so
yeah, like I don't know that, like that chick was the only that thing was the only part of like those, like, I don't know, the techno teens or techno, I don't know what do you want to call them,
the
that
mod
stood out
squad,
to me. Yeah.
like they were called like the mods in the show, but I kept thinking of the mod squad.
Yeah. I really liked the Tusken Raiders, like, I guess the first two episodes with that showed his connection with the Tusken Raiders, and
That was good.
like you got actual like story, and you actually got to know stuff about the Tusken Raiders.
Yeah, that was the thing about the Book of Boba Fett though. Is like, okay, in Mandalorian season 2, when Boba Fett shows up, he's a fucking badass, and you're like, Boba Fett's always been a fucking badass. He just got cheap shot by Han Solo. Then you watch this show. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't that great. He kind of still isn't.
I mean,
He just had
yeah,
that one awesome moment in season 2 of Mandalorian. All right.
I mean, that's kind of the thing. Like the Mandalorian is really what people think or how people thought Boba Fett was. Like
Yeah,
if you go back and look, like
yeah.
Boba Fett, where? And then he gets like, yeah, like really, like,
I did I did like them showing him getting out of the Sarlacc pit, just because I was like, that's pretty good.
uh, Patton Oswalt in an episode of
Okay,
Community.
I went and watched that scene and was like, okay, people are saying that Patton Oswalt called that scene. Motherfucker, anybody could have written that scene because that was just like I could have written that scene because that was such a like it's just Boba Fett's hand coming out of the sand, climbing out of the Sarlacc pit. That was all that was. That was the only thing that Patton Oswalt said about him getting that was actually in the show was the hand
Yeah,
coming out of
well,
out of the sand, climbing out of the Sarlacc pit. That was so generic and so just like, of course that was the scene. That I cannot attribute that to Patton Oswalt. I can't. Because that
I mean,
was
I also was it actually Patton Oswalt who wrote that, or because like it was on an
no.
episode of Community, so it was the writers of Community probably who.
No, actually, that scene itself was Patton just it was just
Oh, was it?
it was him
Okay.
just being improv. But I mean, I'm pretty sure you can look up in like it might even been in the legacy books, you know, because that's such like that's such a
Yeah.
generic badass scene.
It's been a
That's
while, but
it's
did it
not
not talk
hard
about like
to come to that that scene because
did they not talk
we've
about the
seen that scene before.
stormtrooper like that he passes when he's crawling up?
Mm-mm.
Okay. It's like I said, it's been a while since I saw that scene on Community. Or not Community, Parks and Rec.
No, no.
Okay.
Like I said,
Yeah.
it was just he just said Boba Fett's hand comes out of the sand on Tatooine, climbing out of the Sarlacc pit. That's it.
Yeah. But I mean, it
That's
was
it.
before like all the new Star Wars stuff came out, so that's the thing. That's the reason why it got a lot of, hype, I guess, is because it was a while ago before people thought there was going to actually ever be any more Boba Fett, you know.
Right.
Like
And I was expecting like because that whole thing was like, oh, you know, Patton Oswalt called, you know, the whole thing about Boba Fett. No, he didn't, because I didn't see Tony Stark anywhere. No, that wasn't there. Because if you go back and rewatch that scene, he calls because Disney now owns Star Wars. He tied in Marvel with him
gotcha. Okay.
and Boba Fett fighting Thanos.
Yeah, that was 2013 that came out. So,
Yeah, that it was before the Force Awakens
yeah.
because
So
it
like
was it was
I think that's why a lot of people that's why that became a thing, because like this was before anyone ever thought we'd ever get anything but more Boba Fett. Because I don't know about you, I never thought we'd ever get anything Boba Fett. Like,
no, I actually I didn't either.
and once we got Mandalorian, that's when I thought, okay, yeah, we're definitely not getting Boba Fett. And why
Well,
would they make Boba Fett and the Mandalorian? Like, and then hey, we got Book of Boba Fett.
but it was all right. I really enjoyed it more than I expected because of the way that people were shitting on that show.
Yeah, and like I said, like I I never had a huge problem like most people did with it. I enjoyed it for the most part.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
I mean,
it was good.
granted, the best parts were the Mandalorian.
I
Like,
I was
was
expecting as much Grogu as we got. Like I wasn't
yeah.
expecting like the whole training sequence. I was expecting Ahsoka. Like I wasn't expecting any of that.
Now, were you weirded out by how Luke sounded? Because that's a lot of people. That was a lot of people, from what I could tell, they were like, okay, they did the deep fake CGI a lot better because they got that one person,
Yeah,
but they used a program to like make Luke's voice young, and a lot of people seemed to be kind of weirded out
I
by
didn't
it.
know. I didn't really notice it. To be honest, like I kept the thing that I did not notice though is well, one, I noticed that the face was better. Two, I noticed it was in constant shadow.
Yeah.
Like
See,
that.
I noticed the voice was weird, but just because like this doesn't sound like Mark Hamill now, so they had to have done something to make him sound younger than he sounds now.
Sure.
Like I didn't know what they did. I didn't know if they like if I didn't know it was a program and not actually him talking. I thought they had him do the lines and then did editing to his voice, but
If
apparently it was a program.
if you even told me it was a sound alike, I would have said, yeah, sure, it was. But I mean, because honestly, I didn't notice it. Put it that way, I did not notice it. Like I said, what I more
Just
noticed was the face was never in direct sunlight.
yeah. Just make it cheaper. I don't know if it's cheaper, but if you're gonna do more Luke, just get Sebastian Stan. Come on now. Like, he looks so much like young Mark Hamill, you know?
Oh, he's not far off. He's not.
And I think Mark Hamill even came out and said he wouldn't mind. Like he approves that casting, if they ever did something like that.
Who knows? But book. Oh, and I don't have a title thing here, but I did also watch. There's a documentary. It's a short documentary, like 30 minutes. What was it called? Yes, give me the full catalog at Disney Plus.
Hmm. Speaking of full catalog, they now have the
Well, that's why.
all the Netflix stuff.
That's why.
Yeah.
That's why that's now a thing.
Yeah.
What was it called? It's like Behind the Mask or Under the Mask of Boba Fett. Something like that. Under the Helmet, the Legacy of Boba Fett. It was just a short documentary on why is Boba Fett a thing? Why did he become such a huge phenomenon when he was only in the movie for 6 minutes? Both
True,
movies
yeah.
for 6 minutes instead of 4 lines. But yet everybody loves the Fett Man. Why? It was
Because he was mysterious at the beginning.
that was
you
it.
know?
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Um, um, and it's just like a short, like 30-minute documentary, just kind of going into like, how was Fett created? What was his actual first appearance? Because it was not the movies. It was not
The holiday special.
It was not the holiday special. No.
No, wow, okay.
It was a parade.
Oh, okay.
Boba Fett was first shown in a parade dedicated to Star Wars.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Where they actually had they actually had people in the on-screen suits of Darth Vader and some unknown person in a helmet who was definitely not a stormtrooper.
Yeah, it's because he was mysterious and people were able to create their own headcanon about him. you know?
Yeah, and that's really more what it ended up being. But I didn't know that the original, like the original armor, that was supposed to be like a super trooper trooper armor, and there was gonna be like hundreds of them. But they
Oh,
could
wow.
they ended up only could afford one suit, so they just went, why not just make him a bounty hunter? That's what happened.
And then the prequels kind of soured Boba Fett and in
Well,
a lot of people's
it
eyes, I
actually
think.
interviews Kid Boba. Um, and I didn't realize this, but he actually voices Boba in the um, Clone Wars cartoon. Like he actually came back to voice a slightly older version of himself.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
But I don't think that like the prequels ruined him with Django. I thought that whole story with him and him being the clones, I kind of dig it. You know,
Really?
yeah,
Okay.
I'm perfectly fine with it. I dig it.
I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of cloning.
Um,
Spider-Man has kind of soured me on clones.
I wish that in maybe season 3 of Mandalorian, they get into more Mandalorian lore.
I mean, they kind of tease that in the episode in a Book of Boba Fett where he, you know, they say, "How? What can I do to redeem myself?" Or kind of thing, because they asked if he's shown his face, and he said yes, and then they were like, "You have to leave," and he's like, "What can I do? I'm sorry," and then they're like, "Oh, you have to." I kind of think that might be part of season 3.
I hope it is. I hope it is.
That would be kind
I
of
hope
cool.
they
Yeah,
go to Mandalore because I'm curious on what Mandalore looks like right now. Um,
yeah, and more was it Bo-Katan?
mm-hmm.
I'd like to see more with her.
Like in like the Clone Wars, like what happened on Mandalore. Like I still have not seen the last season, which is the Siege of Mandalore. So I don't actually know what happened at the end. I just know kind of what happened before that, and it was very interesting. And also the fact that the sect that you know Din Djarin is a part of used to be Death Watch, which were the bad guys in Clone Wars.
That's interesting.
They were the ones that overthrew the queen, who was Bo-Katan's sister. So I was like, the fact that he is a member of Death Watch, that's interesting. I want him to go more into that, and I can't wait.
Kind of feel like they will, because the Grogu thing, I think, is, I don't know, it feels like it's kind of resolved now. Like,
Kinda, yeah. Like that they did that definitely did wrap up Grogu, and his new ship. I got I love it.
it's
I
so
love his new
crazy,
ship.
right?
I love
Like,
his ship. But of course, my first thought is, well, how is he going to capture and bring in bounties? There's no
right?
cargo
Like,
hold. Is he just going to have like attached like a U-Haul trailer to the back of it, Like, what is he gonna
Right?
do?
Like, I don't know. Yeah.
Like at first, I'm like, okay, he's got a spot for a bounty behind him where the droid spot goes, but nope, that's taken up by Grogu.
I mean, I
That's
guess
Grogu's spot.
technically, I guess if you have to, Grogu could sit up with him.
Yeah,
Like if push comes to shove, you know. Yeah.
but also I'm like, man, he sometimes goes on long flights. That's gotta suck. He can't move. He can't get up and walk around, take a piss.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
He just gotta do short hops now. He can't do those long hauls anymore.
Oh, the spin. I know you knew about the spin before, but like once you
See,
actually saw it,
I was
like
that was just pointless. Why'd you do that?
exactly.
There was no reason for that spin.
That was my thoughts
Okay.
before I saw like it become a meme. Like, cause like you can, it's like okay, I can like sometimes in like hand to hand, you know, martial weapon combat, there will be spins and stuff, and sometimes it's a little, you know, it'll be like, you know, like flips and stuff and all that, and I'm just like, okay, some of this stuff's kind of unnecessary, but it kind of, you know, it's for show, and it, you know, I can kind of see like, you know, spinning to get momentum if you're like using like a melee weapon, you know. I can kind of get behind that, but like, yeah, with that gun, like it's just like it posed no like benefits. Like
Nope, it didn't.
if anything, it was like a handicap for you, like because
Right,
you're
because
waiting an extra.
you okay. There's the enemy right there. I'm gonna take my eyes off of him, spin in a circle, make myself a little dizzy. Gotta find him again. There they are. Okay, now I can shoot. Wait.
Exactly. Yeah, like I said, I remember watching it and thinking that's ridiculous, and then later on I saw the meme and I'm like, oh, I guess this is a thing now. Okay.
And I actually forgot completely about the spin until I saw it. I'm like, huh. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, it's a shame that that character is known. That's what that character is known for, is the spin. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm trying to think of anything else from that.
Okay. I also got a gripe I do have though, and I didn't even think about it until like just now with the mod squad. Okay. They're people who, you know, they modify their bodies because they want to become droids. I don't know why. But we were never shown like a benefit to those modifications. One was mentioned of like oh, my eye sees all. But it doesn't show him actually like using that eye. It like we never see one of the mods actually use their body mods in a beneficial way. If you understand what I mean.
well, yeah, like I said, like what's the point of having just your wrist being like robotic? Like
Rockets, just like a rocket launcher just comes out, just pew! Like
I guess, but like it didn't look like that's how it was designed.
or
like,
smoke, or well, I mean,
pocket sand.
yes. I mean, well, like Boba Fett's knee pad doesn't look like it holds rockets either, but it does.
I guess, yeah.
Which
I did.
I will point
really
out, like when Boba Fett was first thought up of, those knee pad rockets were a thing when he was thought up, but something we never even saw in the movies that he was in. He had rocket knee pads and this was the first time we ever saw him. Think about that. Something that was thought
Yeah.
of back in the 70s. We're just now seeing on a character.
Yeah, that's interesting. I did like Black Christitan. Forget how you pronounce the name, but the Wookiee.
Oh yeah, he was awesome. I'm like,
He was
that's how you
cool.
make a
Yeah.
Wookiee badass.
Hell yeah.
That's how
Like
you make a Wookiee
he was
badass.
great.
You give him a shoulder blade. That's how you do it.
Like I liked him so much. I was like worried like when like Boba Fett's crew was getting like killed off. I'm like, "No, don't
Yeah.
kill the Wookiee. No."
I couldn't help but think like, man, Chewbacca looks like a chump now.
Well, really? Like cuz he just looks so badass in that like and like he's just like freeze him and I'm just like what? So no life debt? Like what?
Point taken.
Is that not really a thing or like
He might not have grown up on Kashyyyk.
yeah, right? Like are there different sectors of Wookiees like Mandalorians or
Different tribes. Yeah, maybe.
yeah, that's another I'd love to see Wookiee lore. That'd be crazy.
How about the Wookie Jedi? That's something I want to see.
Yeah.
I, I,
Yeah,
I forget his name though.
The Book of Boba Fett really did get a lot of like a bit too much negative, I think,
Tavanka.
than it
That was his
deserved.
name.
Because, like I said, overall, I enjoyed it quite a bit, and I kept telling you that. Like, so I'm glad you actually finally saw it.
Yeah, it was really like watching the trailer of Obi-Wan. Like, I'll see some Star Wars. Oddly enough, there's a Star Wars show I've yet to see. So that's what did it.
Is there gonna be more Book of Boba Fett?
I don't know.
Because IMDb has it listed as like 2021 to, and it's just opened. Like, so I don't know. Like, oh yeah, and Ming Na Wen, of course, is amazing
Oh,
as
she's
always.
yeah.
Like, yeah. I
According to
just
this, there are no further plans to explore Book of Boba Fett season 2, which
gotcha.
I'm okay with because that story was wound up in a nice bow.
Yeah, yeah.
That did not. It did
Like,
not. I mean, it made me want more Mandalorian season 3, but
oh yeah, yeah.
like as far as like Boba Fett story, nope, that was wrapped up quite nicely.
Like, I wouldn't mind if Boba Fett and Fennec Shand like guest, made appearances and other stuff in the future,
It's possible.
But like, yeah, I don't think. Oh, what did you think about the end, the ending theme at the very end, the last episode?
Any theme? Was it just the Mandalorian theme?
No, the at the end of or the theme for Boba Fett throughout was just like just chanting or whatever. In the last episode, it was Fett, Boba, Boba, Boba Fett.
Did not hear it.
That was it was just it was not it wasn't that way until the very last episode. It was just like
Did not
yeah.
hear it at all.
it's crazy, and it's just like, okay, are you making a joke? Like, is this a joke? Like, because I remember hearing it on the last episode, thinking like, wait, this wasn't the way it was the whole time, right? Am I? I'm not dumb. Like, and then I'm hearing other people talk about it. Yeah, but that's yeah. The last episode, they actually turned the theme into just saying Boba Fett. Like,
I'm kind of scrubbing through the episode to see if I can find it.
it's at the very end, like of the last episode, is where they do where it actually, you know, is Boba Fett as the words.
Okay, I'm hearing the Mandalorian theme.
It's like the credits, I think.
I'm listening to the credits now. I didn't even notice that was the words. Didn't even notice
It
that
wasn't until that last episode. Like I said, it was the same like theme and all that for the previous episodes, but it did not say Boba Fett. Like,
because it just said like, "Hup, hup." I didn't catch
yeah,
that was supposed to be fat.
yeah. It wasn't until the very last episode. Yeah, it was just random like chanting and whatnot until it's so stupid,
It's
but I
kind of
love it.
dumb. I kind of like it though.
Yeah. Uh, it had me questioning, like when I heard it, I'm just like, wait, it didn't say this hasn't been a thing the whole time, right? Like,
Pick another episode and just kind of go to the credits.
yeah. Uh, it's it's so dumb, but so good.
No, because it's hum da dum 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 dum.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I love it. It's so good. Like,
it's, it's kind of the right kind of dumb that I kind of like.
yeah, exactly. Uh, but yeah, so like, who thought of that? Like, there was a lot of thought and time put into that. Like,
It was good.
yeah, because they had to make that theme twice, just for that like payoff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely liking the Disney Plus like Star Wars stuff a lot. Like,
Yeah.
I I didn't hate the sequel trilogy. Like, Force Awakens was just, pretty much A New Hope
Oh,
2.0.
I feel like Star Wars fans hate Star Wars. They do. That's what it seems like they do. Star Wars fans hate Star Wars because they have to say shit on everything that comes out that's Star Wars. The prequels, they shit upon it. The sequels, they shit upon it.
Yeah.
But
I like I said,
and I didn't dislike the prequels as much as everybody else did. Did I think
exactly,
they
yeah.
were great? No, but I didn't hate them as much as other people did. And now people are coming around on the prequels, and it's kind of they're liking them. They're hating on the sequels. So now in the next trilogy, the sequels are going to get okay. The sequels weren't that bad. They were kind of good, weren't right? Yeah, the sequels were great. Yeah. No, you shut up. You sit down. You thought they were shit before. You sit down. You get no say.
See, my problem with the prequels, I may be one of the only people, I don't know, because everyone else I know loved this part. I did not care for pod racing, and that seemed like the first the Phantom Menace. That seemed like there was a lot of that, like so. I didn't like. I
There
don't.
was not enough pod racing. That's what the problem is. You
Okay.
just don't realize that there wasn't enough pod racing. That's
Well,
that's what the problem was.
Jar Jar Binks didn't like, and also George Lucas can't write romance, so
No.
that was were my issues with that. But also, like, I'm not like a die-hard Star Wars fan. Like, I'm a casual Star Wars fan, I would say.
I'm casual compared to a lot of the other Star Wars fans out there, but I do enjoy a lot of Star Wars stuff and a lot of the side stuff. Like
I've never
I've
watched the
I've read
cartoons.
multiple books. I've I've played multiple of the games. I've watched a lot of the cartoons, not all of it, but a lot of it.
I will say I really like Force Unleashed a lot. I actually read like the book of that they released after the game.
Oh yeah.
And I really like Star Killer. Like, I would love if they brought Star Killer to, I don't know, to live action. I mean, because he's
Gee,
based off a real person.
Who would they get to play Star Killer? Huh. I don't know.
The person likeness that they took. Yeah. What's his name? I don't know his name, but I know the guy. Like,
Sam. His name is Sam.
yeah, it's like I know him because he's been in stuff that I've watched.
Sam Witwer.
Yeah.
I knew it was Sam W. That was all I remembered.
That's right. Okay, yeah, he was in Supergirl, which was a weird role he was in. He was in. Was he in? Once Upon a Time. Okay, yeah. Smallville. That's right. He was. Wait, he was. Okay,
He was
interesting.
It was Doomsday.
Yeah, yeah. That was wow. That was a long time ago. I want to say
That might have been the
was
first thing I saw him in.
Was he not in? I think of someone else. Yeah. He's been in stuff. Yeah, but yeah, like
Like
his likeness is Star Killer though. Like,
yeah. Also, I'm pretty sure his likeness is also, because he plays not only he's not only the voice of Darth Maul in the, but he plays the embodiment of the dark side in a very good episode. Where like there are people who are like the embodiments of the Force, and he plays the dark side called Son, and then there's the light side called Daughter, and then there's the neutral called Father.
okay, he was in. Okay, interesting.
If you don't watch any of the Clone Wars show, I recommend that episode because that's a very good episode.
It's on my list to watch eventually. You know. But yeah. Star Wars.
So, yes. So what have you been watching? Because that was my topic.
Well, I I could bring something. I've just thought mentioning Sebastian Stan made me think of something I did see. It was a bit ago, but I can actually talk about it now. I have watched, I think, at least the first episode of the Pam and Tommy, whatever it's called, the
Oh, okay.
Hulu series. Yeah, I watched that a while ago, like before it was even out, like part of a research like panel thing, you know. Speaking of people who look like other people, like Sebastian Stan looks
Pretty close.
does pretty close. And it's like, oh yeah, was it Lily James looks just like Pamela Anderson, but wait, no, she has fake teeth, a fake forehead prosthetic, a wig. I've seen like so many things recently about like all the things she has to go through in order to look like Pamela Anderson, and it's like, okay, wow, like they could have gotten anybody for the role then, like. Well, I'm not even kidding. Like she's got a fake forehead prosthetic. She has fake teeth. She has fake like a
I,
few other
I
things.
kind of see it
Like
because it in some of the pictures she looks like herself, but in others she doesn't.
yeah. This at least the first episode. I can't remember if it was just the first or if I watched more, but I haven't watched it all, of course. But it's about what you know what the famous Pamela Anderson, like the sex tape,
Uh huh.
and it's basically um Sebastian Stan playing Tommy Lee is like, he's getting work done on his like mansion or whatever, and he's Seth Rogen plays this what's it called, this like carpenter, I guess. And he's having him like build all this crazy stuff, like sex swings and mirrors and special bed, like crazy out there stuff, and ends up like kind of gypping him on, and it ends up like like saying, oh, this isn't done right or whatever, and then ends up firing him and refusing to pay him, and just gets into this big thing, and then um you know uh Seth Rogen's character is out of like money because he put in so much, money for, the project up front, all that. And he's like even trying to get his tools back. And Tommy Lee pulls out like a gun on him, and it's like, no, these are my tools because you didn't finish the job. And like, so like he's a huge dick, like, oh, unbelievable dick. At least in at the beginning. And so he's thinking, so Seth Rogen's character's like, I think I'm gonna like, I noticed that there's this like safe that like, you know he noticed there was a safe in like the garage or whatever, and ends up like planning to steal the safe, and somehow dumb dumb luck ends up stealing it, and that's where they he finds the tape, and then it goes on from there and whatnot. But like that first episode, or first, at least the first episode, doesn't really have like, was Lily James, I think, who plays Pamela, doesn't really have her in it that much at all. It's mostly like Seth Rogen and Sebastian Stan, and then like this other construction guy, not quite a carpenter, but like I think an electrician or something guy.
They
But
did
yeah,
a lot to look them to make Sebastian Stan and Lily James look like Tommy and Pam.
yeah. I mean, I feel like less for Sebastian Stan because it's just like tall white guy, like with dark hair.
Well,
Like and that and it's the same body structure, like the same kind of frame, but yeah.
I don't
But
know.
I remember seeing
He's
recently
not
the
as
stuff.
skinny as Tommy Lee is though.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Less drugs.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But like, yeah, I remember I've seen TikToks and stuff talking about what they did to make her look like Pamela, and I'm just like, wow, okay, that's a lot of stuff they did. I didn't even realize that because like, you see the pictures like the ones you showed, and it's like, oh yeah, she looks just like her, and and stuff like that, and then it's like, oh, that's interesting, fake forehead prosthetic. Like that's just the one that like stands out the most because it's you don't think about that. Like you don't think
No,
about like a forehead prosthetic for an actor. But it was all right. Like it's still weird to see like Seth Rogen skinny.
yeah.
And also, I think Seth Rogen's like shaved in this too, so he looks totally weird. If I remember correctly.
Oh, this is a good one.
Oh, do you got another side by side type of?
Yeah.
Yeah, they look very different
They do.
normally.
But then there's this other one that I've got here.
I mean, I feel like white guys. It's a lot easier for for certain white guys to look like other white guys. Like I
True.
just versus like women. Women. I feel like they could. I feel like men. Oh, I feel like white guys are just more generic. Like
Yeah, you can definitely see this one. Like they definitely have done something to make her look like Pamela, especially compared to this one.
oh yeah, it's totally different. Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting. It was interesting. Like I said, I saw this like sometime last year. I can't quite remember. Um, I was like, it's all right. I don't really care too much about like the story behind the sex tape and all that stuff. Like,
All right, I've got to read this headline. Pam and Tommy's fans disturbed over footage of Tommy Lee's penis talking to him.
oh yeah, I've heard about that. That's in the movie. Yeah, or in the series.
All
I did
right,
not see that though. But yeah. I did hear that's a thing in the show.
I
So,
I just hope it's Sebastian Stan just doing a high voice.
or an even lower voice. Who knows? Um,
Well, you never know.
but yeah, it's it seemed all right. Like the acting was all right. It didn't seem anything. Like I just not interested in it. In the story of it. You know. It's something that happened so long ago, and it's just like okay, that's a funny note in history, just like you make fun of like Kim Kardashian. I don't know if you've seen the latest thing with her, like where she's telling people, like, oh, you need to just work and stop being lazy and all and then the
I'm
TikTok
sorry.
people are like, okay, I am encouraged by you. I'm gonna look up to see what you did to get to where you are. Oh,
Okay.
okay, yeah, like It's just like I just, for the most part, I don't care about celebrities and their lives. Like,
No.
there's very few that I like, care about, and Pamela and Tommy are not in that list.
No. No, I'd definitely say
Yeah. But
not
like,
in mine either.
if people are listening and they do care, it seems like it's a it's a good cast. They're definitely, I like Sebastian Stan quite a bit, but like like I said, he is such a dick at playing Tommy Lee, and you hate him like in this, and it's like, but I love Bucky, but I hate Tommy, like Tommy Lee. So
I thought that
that's
woman's name was Pepsi. It's Peppy.
yeah. So
Peppy Songa? Sonoga? I don't know.
yeah, but
But I thought
yeah,
her name was Pepsi.
that's enough about that. I just thought I'd bring that up because we were talking about Sebastian Stan, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember I did watch that, and that's out now, so I can talk
Oh
about it.
yeah, I did watch the original film. Oh wait. But
What's another thing you got?
well, another thing I got is, let's see. That was my live action stuff, so I can go into my anime stuff. I'm watching some somewhat older I think I talked about this last time. Watching old animes I used to like to see if they kind of hold up still, or if I
Yeah.
remember them correctly. So one I rewatched recently was Charlotte.
Oh, so good.
I remembered part of it, but I also remembered another anime that I thought was this anime. Because what I remembered was not did not happen in this anime, but I did remember that this anime takes a dark turn towards the end, and I remembered correctly. Oh, does this show take a? The whole premise is that kids are getting superpowers. They're just kind of like one day, just all of a sudden, they've got superpowers. And they attribute it to a comet. By the way, that doesn't make sense, but yeah, they get superpowers, and then, when they turn, like when they hit around a certain age, they'll start to lose them. So they don't have them for forever. And the main character has the ability to jump into other people's bodies for like 5 seconds. Not a long time, but like enough to, like, I don't know, cheat on a test, or yeah, not much else he can really do with that. He then comes across a girl who has the ability to make herself invisible to only one person. And she's part of a student council of another school, and another member is a guy. He says that his power is teleportation, but it's not. He can just move really, really, really fast. But can't really stop. So he just kind of starts moving really fast, and then just crashes into the wall or through the glass, usually through the wall too. See, and then there's another girl who her ability is they call it medium. She can be possessed by spirits, and the spirit that possesses her is that of her older sister who died, who has the power of pyrokinesis. So really, there's like two powers going on in one body.
It gets pretty crazy and dark, yeah. Like I'm
And
remembering it now.
It gets dark, like
Yeah.
like to a part, and it kind of hit me. Like there was a scene like I almost started fucking crying. Like it was like just because it was like it's something that I hopefully can't relate to, but can understand how that person would feel if something like that happened to me. Involving a younger sister. So but yeah, it gets dark, and I misremembered this show, but it's still very good. Although I feel like the last episode would have been kind of cool to have like that as like like that episode, but as the entire season 2. Because that last episode was it was the last episode takes place over a year. And I feel like there was a lot of shit that happened that was like really freaking cool. That would have been kind of cool to see. But it's still good. It still holds up. It wasn't the show I remembered. I looked up what was the show I remembered, and I forget what it is now.
I think I watched this not too long ago, like sometime in the last year or two for the first time.
And looking up anime with superpowers does not help me.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious what you thought it was. Like,
well, there's an anime. It's kind of like Charlotte, where like all of a sudden, like these group of kids, all of a sudden they all switch bodies for like a time. Just like a body switching anime. 10 anime with body swap. I might find it there. Aha! Koriko Connect. That was it. That was the one I was confusing Charlotte with. I recognize that name, that I have seen that one.
I don't think I've seen this. I don't know.
Like it's like all of a sudden like they've like switched bodies for like a time, like maybe like a day. But then, and I remember that show, like their powers change after a time.
Recognize the like cover art, but I don't think I've ever actually watched it.
So, yeah, Charlotte still good. What have you got?
I just finished wrapping up Restaurant to Another World season 2 because that just wrapped up. That's a really good wholesome anime. Like And you say your sister's, that's one I would recommend. Like, because there's no like fan service. There's no craziness. There's just, it's a restaurant. It's a restaurant in our world where every Saturday a door opens from, like there's like a fantasy world and there are random doors that open on a Saturday to this restaurant. And it just shows like each episode is like, will show like a dish or two different dishes. It'll be like split up into two parts, and it'll be like a dish like hamburger steak, and it'll show the backs, kind of the origin of like this person finding a door and seeing the restaurant, and then getting introduced to this dish, and it becomes their favorite dish, and all the patrons to the restaurant call each other by their favorite dish, like, you know, chicken curry or minced pork cutlet, or, like chocolate parfait, stuff like that. Um, it's just, like I said, it's real wholesome. Like, and it's about food, and it's crazy because like they're, like I said, it's a fantasy world, so there will be like humans, but there will also be like you know monsters like like I think there's a minotaur monster. I think there's like
I
just
definitely see
random.
a lion guy.
Yeah, there's a lion guy. There's the one of
There's a
there's like
goat
a
chick.
dragon. There's like a evil dragon, or not evil, but like a dragon. I think it's a dragon. The 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 dark hair like
Was he a man?
server in that picture
The
is
dragon
like a
man?
is a is an actual like dragon, like. And the blonde haired girl in that picture is like a goat, like demon or something like that, something devil or something, some like species where she gets looked down on in her world, but she ends up stumbling upon the restaurant and ends up getting a job. And I think I think the chef is played by, hold on, is it Chris Sabat or Christopher Sabat? I forget. I don't know how you say his name. I think that maybe, could be wrong. I know it's someone who's like, it's a well-known like voice actor.
Yes.
Of course, it is okay,
Yes.
because like IMDb is not wanting to load for me. So
Well,
yeah.
what for anime, what I usually do is I go to behind the voice actors, because that will definitely tell you where IMDb may not.
Oh, okay. I need to bookmark that then. Yeah. So I mean, like I said, it's a real nice, like, you know, good, heartwarming, wholesome anime. You know, um, lots of like characters connecting over food and stuff like that, and it leads to season two. Which this seems like it's the end of it. Like there won't be a season three, just the way kind of season two ended.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really, really good, you know, culmination. Where I guess, yeah, it's basically like an anthology, where it's different people coming across the restaurant and being amazed by the food, and that becomes their favorite food. And also it shows a little, it shows backstory on like their real world and how they got to, stuff like that. So it's pretty good. I really enjoyed it. Kind of upset that it's probably over, but like I said, the way it ended was a real good, kind of culmination of the whole show and a nice ending. So like I'm satisfied with how it ended. You know, even though I wish there will be more. It's always good to have a satisfying ending though for anime because sometimes you don't get a satisfying ending. Like
Okay, I just looked up like Christopher Sabat and his and like what was he doing like right now? And he's got something that's TBA. Yu Yu Hakusho, an OVA for Yu Yu Hakusho.
I see that now. Yes. Yes, please. I'll take more Yu Yu Hakusho.
And that's really funny because it released in Japan in 2018.
Really? Huh.
Yeah,
He's probably the biggest anime dubbed actor, voice actor, right?
let's see. It's got
Christopher Sabat, like he's
209
in so many
shows,
things.
209 shows, 57 movies, 71 video games, 2 shorts, 2 ads, 12 narrations, and then I don't know. Oh, and 17 additional voices.
Yeah, like he just seems to be in like every big like anime. It seems like, you know.
But he is nowhere near the top 10. The most character roles is 2,296. That's D.
I
Bradley
mean,
Baker.
you say character roles. That could be like little things, though. Here, you know, I'm saying like feel like I feel like Christopher Sabat's in like I'm always hearing him. I should say, you know.
Okay. What it is also doing is counting every episode
Ah,
of a thing, but
okay.
still, he's not even in top 10. Like Tom Kenny has him beat.
Of course, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised about that. Yeah.
He's number 22 on this list at 770. I mean, Trey Parker and Matt Stone are higher than him. Just saying.
Do they do more than just South Park?
Let's look up just Matt Stone. He's got six shows.
Because I know like the two of them, they do multiple roles on South Park.
Yeah. Um, I'm still scrolling through South Park to see if another show pops up.
I just mean like, you know, big roles on big shows like
And the answer
Christopher
is no.
Sabat, you know, is, you
Well, I
know,
mean, like like I said,
Elfman,
D,
Yami,
D,
you know,
D. Bradley
Vegeta,
Baker.
Piccolo.
He's at the top. Tom Kenny, Frank Welker,
All Might, like just like the,
Rob
you know,
Paulson, Tara Strong, Kevin Michael Richardson, Jim Cummings, Mel Blanc, Jim
yeah.
DiMaggio, Steve Blum, Maurice LaMarche, Phil Lamar, and those are just the names at the top that I recognize.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's just I feel like I feel like I could point out Christopher Sabat, like Every time he
Well,
plays a character, I can be like,
yeah,
oh, that's
I can also do the same with Steve Blum too.
yeah.
He's got a very recognizable voice. Or no, actually, I take that back. Or John DiMaggio. He's got a very recognizable voice too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But yeah, Restaurant to Another World, great anime, 2 seasons. It's one that I like. Took me a while to actually watch, like, because it was just like I just kept seeing, and I'm just like, well, this doesn't seem that exciting or anything, like this just seems kind of, I don't know, like. And then I finally sat down and watched it, enjoyed it, and then was like, oh, season 2 is coming out right now. Lucky me. Just kind of a perfect timing, but yeah. Like I said, it's just a like kind of wholesome slice of life slice of life vibe, you know, anthology of like different people in this fantasy world that are like that come across this door that appears every Saturday or the day of Saturn, as they call it. Um and I think I've told you before, there's a character or that they call shrimp. They'll pronounce shrimp, but they'll call it shrimp as well, because I guess that's what they call it. But they'll say shrimp when it's like referred to as like fried shrimp in the, that's what the dish is called. It's called fried shrimp. And when they're describing it, they'll be like, "Oh, the shrimp is so good," and I'm just like, it bothers me, like them calling shrimp shrimp.
You wanna do
Like,
another take there? No? Okay. I guess we'll go with that one.
yeah, just like it's the one thing that gets me every time is when they call it shrimp. Like, I don't know. But yeah, that wrapped up, I think, last week.
Take 2.
Yeah, that wrapped up last week. So yeah. What's another one you got?
Well, another anime that I watched is one I think you have seen and talked about a while back. The Eighth Son. Are you kidding me?
Ooh, yeah.
Um, this is an isekai that does not need to be an isekai. Say that right off the bat. It's an isekai and premise only. But after that, it's like I lived another life. It goes out the window. And it's just like the character acting like a character would.
Yeah.
And the premise is that businessman dude in his 30s goes to sleep and wakes up as like a 5-year-old son of a noble. And like he doesn't die. He just goes to sleep. And then is waking up eating dinner as a 5-year-old noble in another world.
Not that strange. Like, was it starting life, and he just like walks into another world,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, he
Yeah,
just
but
like leaves a
usually
convenience store and just walks into another.
there's a death involved usually. But not in this.
Yeah,
It was
usually
just
there's a truck.
Truck-kun has something to do with it, but no, he just went to sleep and woke up. And then he forgets he seemingly forgets his entire previous life because it's never usually brought up again, except for like a comment here or two, but that's about it. And he's the 8th son. He's the 8th in line of this noble family, so shit luck getting anything. and it's a poor family, and it will, and it's
They're nobles only by name or only by like title, right?
yes, they are. They're and the title is knight, which is kind of far down there on nobility.
His family sucks, if I remember correctly. Like they're mean to
Correct.
him.
Well, his older
Well,
his
most of
oldest
them.
brother is, and his dad could not care less. But yeah, and his the actual next in line for the family treats him like shit. For no particular reason. But
Later, it's because they're threatened by him, right?
later there is a reason, but the older brother treats him like shit well before
Yeah,
there's a
yeah.
reason. So but he finds out that he actually has a really high aptitude for magic, and that catches the attention of a wandering mage, and who's wandering in the forest nearby for reasons. The reasons are explained, but it's just like, okay, this very, very powerful mage is wandering in the woods nearby. That's convenient. And he teaches the kid magic in secret. And then he goes to adventuring school where he meets his party, and shenanigans ensue. But yeah, like he eventually goes back when he's like because like he's also like one of like the strongest mages around, and just like while on on the way to another brother's wedding, just happens to kill an undead dragon, which earns him the title of Dragon Slayer, and makes him a baronet, which puts him ahead of his family, and like another separate noble line then starts. Which, yeah, which is his brother, who is insanely jealous and just a bit of a dickhead, does not like.
Yeah.
And then he ends up killing another dragon, and I enjoyed the show.
Yeah.
And
I really liked his teacher and him, like that whole like dynamic and relationship at the beginning.
it was cool. Especially kind of like what happened to the teacher.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
exactly.
like I'm not gonna spoil like what that teacher was, because he was something.
Yeah.
Um, it was different. That was definitely different. So I'll give credit to it was kind of a generic kind of action isekai anime, but I'll give it that for that unique bit. Um, but yeah, I don't think but I'm also not itching for like a season 2, because like once again, like this was actually an anime where the story kind of just wrapped up quite nicely, and you're satisfied with the end. Like you're not really
Weirdly
left
enough,
hanging.
yeah, weirdly enough, I find myself thinking about this anime from time to time though, because I enjoyed it, you know?
Yeah, I mean there are definitely some unique aspects to the show. Um, like Yes, he does get himself a harem, but it's more of a harem by convenience, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because like
I
it's not
mean,
like
like,
they like the girls instantly fall in love with him like the second they see how powerful he is. Because that's not the. In fact, it's just like the one the one chick, like because he's a super powerful noble with likelihood of him going up in the world and getting a higher title. Um, he is quickly tricked into an engagement with a girl, and he actually does make a good effort not to just go, oh well, yeah, you're just mine now. He actually does make a good quite effort to actually kind of like try to make her fall in love with him actually. And I appreciated that. Seeing as many animes of the powerful dude instant hearts. So it was nice to see that. And then the other two, they're more of like a, well, we just don't want to be you know, oh shit, what's the word? Just retainers. We don't want to be at the same. We don't be under the other dude in the party because we'll be just out of spite. So like, why not just become his concubines? Okay. And like they don't really have any interest in him like that. They just become part of his harem just because they don't want to be a retainer under the other dude in the party.
yeah, yeah. Well, going back to the other thing, that's the thing. I find it refreshing when there's an anime that like the romantic side of things isn't the same old, same old.
Yes.
Like we've
When there
talked about it
actually is
before.
a
Yeah.
believable romantic story.
Like was it the one where the guy's banished from the party because in I forget the
Yes.
name, but yeah,
Banished from the heroes party. Yeah,
yeah, we've
that
talked
one.
about that. That's
That
a
one's a good
great
one.
one. Like,
That one's a good
yeah,
that one's actually a good romantic story that's believable.
yeah. Um, and there's another one that I love. Snow White with the red hair. If anyone ever
Mm,
like
I've
wants another good one, that's
I've
a
came
great one.
across it, but I'm not actually seen it.
Oh, it's so good. I really like that one a lot. Yeah. That's another one that I like didn't watch for the longest time just because like the title and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wait, what? Like, huh? And then I just finally did and fell in love with it. But yeah. Yeah, just like harems just seem to be the norm, like for anime, you know?
Yeah, but I
And
also they're changing. Like they're changing on what they were 20 years ago.
it's nice, yeah. Except for what, there's that anime that's actually about world harem or whatever. Have you heard about that one?
Oh, you mean the hentai? Yes, I have heard about that
Oh,
one.
is that hentai? Okay, I
Yeah,
didn't know.
it's
Okay.
it's one of those like, yeah, it's actually hentai, but we've censored it for the air
Oh, okay.
for actually being able to be aired on TV. But there will be an uncensored hentai later on.
I just heard about the premise. Like it's like oh, there's only a few men in the world, right? Or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it's like yeah, it's like why kind of like why the last man ish.
yeah.
And that's why, yeah. But yeah. I was like, oh my god, that's like you're going a little too deep for that one.
Well, like I
Or a
said,
little too into the
it's hentai.
yeah. I didn't know that until just now, yeah.
It's hentai.
Yeah. I think I saw a TikTok or something about it, but yeah. That makes sense now. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, like I find it refreshing when like animes are like being a little more mature about like stuff like the romance side and stuff like that,
Yeah,
and I like we're seeing more of that.
agreed.
Because like it's a little tiring. Oh, I fell into your cleavage. Oh, ha ha ha.
Yeah,
Like it's getting a little. It's a bit old. Like
a little
doing
old by
that for
this
20
point. Yeah,
years.
yeah,
Like
yeah. We've been seeing that scene for 20 years.
yeah,
And just as you do that, the other girl opens the door and sees that and goes, "Oh no, it's a misunderstanding. It's a Oh my god! How many scenes have we seen that? How many
right.
times have we seen
Like
that scene?"
uh, it's quite a lot. Um, yeah. So be a hell of a drinking game. Pick a random anime and drink every time. You know.
Yeah, pick a mid two thousands anime because that's when it was real bad.
Yep.
Or watch
Yeah.
or watch
I
watch an episode of like Mocking Key, and every time you see panties drink, you'll be dead before the first episode ends.
That's true. God, I haven't watched Mocking Key in a long
I
time.
was I was scrolling by
Wow.
anime to watch, and that I was like, I remember that one.
That's the one that's like Pokemon, but with like females, right? Where he become or no, that's the school one, right? Where
It's a school one. Yes, it's
the
a.
school. Okay, I'm getting that confused with.
I,
At first, I got that
I don't know
confused
what
with the
one you're
other one.
talking about.
There's the one where like the dude becomes the master, like he like and has like those people under him, like the what is it? Let me try. I'm gonna try to find this one, but yeah, Makiki's the one where like it's the redhead guy, right? And he goes to the school where the
Is
chick
he?
was his friend from a long time ago.
Yes, and she's um uh yes.
Yeah, I know exactly that now. Yeah. Um,
Okay, he did have red hair. I did not remember the hair.
Sekire, that's the one I'm thinking. I was thinking of at first.
That sounds
Where
familiar
like
now.
where like the guys like make pacts with like the women fighters or whatever, and
Oh, I know I've seen it, but man, do I not remember this that anime.
I say like Pokemon because like as time goes on, he like gets more people into his like group or whatever and yeah.
Oh, and it takes place in the year 2020. Interesting.
Oh really? That's funny. Uh, yeah, that was 2008 to 2010. That was another one where it's like, oh, I
Oh,
tripped
it's
and
a
fell.
girl falls out of the sky one. It's literally girl falls out of the sky and lands
Yeah.
on him. Probably skirt around face because that's how they usually land on them.
Yep.
I do kind of
You,
remember this one now.
you know
Now
which
that I'm
what
reading the
trope I
plot.
haven't seen in a while in anime? The girl running with toast in her mouth.
Still a thing.
I haven't seen that in a while though. Like,
I haven't seen an anime in a while, but I have seen it on
yeah.
like TikToks where they've recreated an anime, like just like
Yeah.
redoing a scene. I've definitely seen that.
Well, okay, of course, if they're redoing something that happened, but I'm saying new stuff I haven't seen in a while. Like,
All I typed in
which
was
is
toast, and it finished with toast and mouth.
yeah, which like I feel like that was like everywhere. That was like almost all animes for a while. Like had that scene, and now it's like, oh yeah,
The secret origins of girl running with slice of toast in her mouth.
yep.
It is a novel in on Reddit.
Oh
It is
wow,
a long.
yeah. There are some like tropes and stuff that have kind of that aren't as popular anymore in anime. So
I like I like the name of it on TV tropes. It's called the toast of tardiness.
yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah, that checks all the boxes.
It's in one thing in live action. It's in one thing.
Huh.
But yeah, the eighth son. Are you kidding me? It's all right. It's not bad. It's definitely it. Like I said, it had no reason to be an isekai because like the main character just kind of immediately forgot it or never even mentioned anything. Like it's only like the kid just like the story just could have started with the kid, and it would have kind of been, although it would have been odd at him asking about the world, because that's really the only thing I think that was the isekai for, was for him to then ask about the world. But then again, that just could have kind of been fixed with kind of an opening narration. So yeah, there was no reason for this to be an isekai. But what are
There's been a couple like that. I
there
feel
there
like,
there are a
but
few
yeah,
that are like that.
yeah. Uh, Last thing I got is anime. I'm currently watching She Professed Herself, Pupil of the Wise Man.
Ah, that I think is on my watch list.
It's kind of confusing. Um, as far as like the origin of it goes, because it's like a video game, but then like the main character is this like wise man, like wise, like super powerful, like Dumbledore slash Gandalf slash whatever, insert wizard, old famous wizard here.
Uh huh.
um and then like I guess him and other people go away for like, I think it's like the equivalent of like 30 years or something, and then they come back, and like he apparently like was trying out, like had a token to change his character, and was like just seeing what a character would look like, and it was like a female character, and like I think he like said he fell asleep while making it or something and accidentally hit save or something. So now whenever he came back, his character's like this little girl, or this young girl character, whatever, cute character girl. And I guess they're trapped in the game now, but they don't really talk too much about it. It's another one of those things where it's like it's kind of an isekai, but because they also like mention like, oh, the NPCs now they have like personalities and
Mm-hmm.
it's different, and it's been like 30, because it's been like 30 years since like the wise man or something like that. So some long time since he was, back or whatever, and they don't really touch on it too much, and they may touch on it in the future, but like what is it? Like because his friend is like in the game also, or in the world is like the king of this kingdom or whatever, and ends up like only knowing it's him because he ends up seeing like his friends list or something, like him pop up on his friends list like when he returns. So and they're trying to keep it like hush hush that like that she is actually, you know, the great wise man. And but she has all the powers of him and stuff like that, and it's just like it's kind of an odd one. I'm not quite sure where it's going. Like she like joins up with this adventuring party for a episode, and then she ends up going to this like school or whatever, this magic school, and try to find something out, and just like it's kind of a little out there. Like I said, I'm not quite sure where it's going, and it's like I think on the ninth episode right now, something like that. Yeah, ninth. I haven't watched the latest one, but I've watched up to like 8, and it's just kind of like it doesn't feel like there's a distinct like path that it's going, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it kind of like don't really explain too much about like, oh, it's the real world, like it was a video game, and now are they trapped, like, because they say like it's been 30 years since you've been back or something, like, and just like, and the world's like they don't really go too much into detail on all that kind of stuff, which it's like if they're trapped in the video game world and it's been so like you'd think like there'd be a bit more like drama and more like information behind all that, you know.
Well, I kind of the way you described it is kind of like an anime that's airing right now. The land of Lindell. Um, it's kind of the same. And it's like, oh, I'm just now trapped in a game. Oh well. And yeah, there are other players around, but it's like nobody's like making like a big deal about it.
Well, and there's another one, like, was it the bear Kuma Kuma or whatever? I don't know if we talked about that one, right?
Yes, I
Um,
do remember.
I don't know if you've seen that or not,
I've not
but
seen it, but I remember talking about it.
yeah, that's another one where it's like at the very beginning, like it's a game and the character gets this skin and that it's the or this costume that gives her powers, and it's like a bear like onesie type thing, and it shows her like being in the real world out of the VR game, and she's talking to her grandfather about like, oh, I gave my parents like she like this like child prodigy who's like super rich and like kind of emancipated herself and has this big like company or whatever, and then it's like never touched on ever again. It's kind of the same where it's like that's a real kind that's normally would be a huge like thing, but like you mentioned it once and then just never mention it again, and like kind of odd. And it's like I said, in this I'm not quite sure like what's going on. Are they gonna touch back on the like they're trapped in the game world, or you know because like his friend who's like the king of the kingdom or whatever, like maybe he's just like come it's been so long, maybe he's just like accepted it. It's not a big deal. I don't know, it's just kind like I said, it's just kind of weird, and like I said, not a huge like path. It's just like a kind of episode to episode kind of thing, and I'm enjoying it. Don't get me wrong. I'm really enjoying it, and it's interesting. But it's just like
Weird. It's not on Crunchyroll.
No, see, they said like Funimation stuff's coming to Crunch, but not like no,
By
it's
the
not. It's
end of
not
the month.
not all there.
By
Yeah, it's not
by
all
the end of
there
the month,
yet.
it should all be there. But
Yeah,
it's just weird that one that is currently airing is not there.
yeah, because they made it seem like it was like going to be a lot sooner from all the stuff
Well,
I saw. And
from what the news made it sound like it was all there now, but
exactly, and
no, it's not.
on I went to look on Crunchyroll for certain things, and I'm like, oh no, it's not there. That's not there. Oh, okay.
No, and there's some there are shows that are there, but the dubs aren't there.
Yeah, yeah. Like I, I was confused because I was looking at Crunchyroll for certain things, and I'm like, oh, I guess it's not there yet. Okay, interesting. Because like you said, it made it seem like everything was there as soon as they made the announcement.
Yeah,
Like, but yeah, well, and I did see recently, it's like, oh, Dragon Ball is now on Crunchyroll. It's all dubbed and on Crunchyroll. Like that was a big news thing I saw this week, I think.
yeah, I saw it too.
So yeah, it's it's by the end of this month though. Okay, that's good to know. But yeah, it's a good anime. I'm enjoying it. It's just it's one that I'm not like, I'm not. Oh my god, I can't wait to the next episode. It's one where I'm like, oh, there's a new episode. Okay, it's that time of the week. Okay, I'll watch this. I'm enjoying it, but not like super hooked. Have to watch as soon as it releases type thing.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, I feel like it's just I'm not quite sure what the direction of it is going. It's just it kind of confusing
Yeah,
me a
and
little.
at nine episodes, when there's like, like a couple episodes, like 3 maybe 4 episodes left, you should have that by now.
Because yeah, like I said, like it's just like she's claiming to be the wise man's pupil, and she's like, oh, I'm joining this adventure party for this episode, and then I'm going to the school, and oh, I'm gonna enter this contest to show what summoning magic, because ever since she left ever since she left as the wise man, people haven't been doing some or studying or practicing summoning magic, so she wants to try to show people summoning magic is great, and then it goes to this thing, and then it goes, yeah, so it's just like, yeah, okay, it's yeah, it's it's good, but like I said, just I'm not quite sure what the direction of it is. If there is a huge direction, maybe it's just I don't know, anime where there's not a huge like overarching problem.
Mm-hmm.
Just like a day in the life of fantasy isekai whatever thing. But so yeah, that's all I got. So
Okay,
anything else for you?
I got nothing else.
Okay, we can wrap this up because we've been going long.
Yeah.
So this has been episode 446 of the Geeks for the Win podcast. Be sure to follow us on Twitter. Stuart's at Casual Terror. I am at WillPlayGames_, and we will catch you next time.
And remember, no animals are harmed making this podcast.